He is up by 6 points, Danya, and that was a dominant display right out of the gates.
Be still, my beating heart, just in the blink of an eye. This could have been down to 3. It could have been down to 2 if MVL had capitalized on his opportunities. But we talk about it all the time. You never know when you're going to get another opportunity against Magnus. So when you miss one after the other, it's only a matter of
Knight
time
C5?
before Carlsen turns it on.
Wait. What's wrong with Knight C5 there? Am I missing something?
I don't think you are. I think Bishop B6 is the move against Knight B5, but not against Knight B3.
That was so bizarre.
Wait, was Knight C5 just like much better for white?
Yeah, that was really weird. Bishop E6 and then back to C8.
Strange. Even here, Knight C5.
A second time, hitting the bishop and the pawn on B7 all at once.
And then Queen B3 in response to bishop. Why is Magnus allergic to this move?
Well, maybe he's going to sneeze and then play it. But Knight C5, I mean, it looks really good. You're just hitting two pieces at once.
I'm going to give him a Benadryl if he doesn't play it, and he does.
Okay, you take on B7, your knight apparently gets trapped, but now it doesn't.
It just goes back to C5. I guess MVL is saying he gets a lot of piece activity with Knight C6 to D4, creating some tension in white's position, but pawn is a pawn.
Pawn is a pawn. I guess that's somewhat E5 and Rook B8, but the problem is the knight on C6 is also loose, and if it ever moves, the bishop on G2 protects that knight on B7.
There's an anti-positional move E4 here, but it drives the black bishop back, and perhaps then Knight C5 comes with tempo. I don't know exactly how Magnus should handle this.
A3, little moves, big consequences. Rook C1, there could be a bishop takes C3 and knight takes A3 up in the air.
True that. Is there an alternative, though?
And by the way, Maxime is a full 3 minutes, so either he's tilting or he's in some kind of preparation.
Or both.
Yeah, that's true. That's the worst case scenario.
Yeah, bishop C3, knight A3 comes to mind, but again, always hard to part ways with your Grunfeld bishop.
Yeah, white would just be better. An unopposed bishop pair.
And a better endgame in Magnus's hands is almost a sure victory, especially when he's playing with this confidence and this level of verve.
That was a
A3
good way of doing it. Yeah, BA3, bishop takes C3, rook C1, 2 pieces in a row, but the knight comes into D4, and it's actually white who is in some trouble there. So a very, very good move from Maxime there.
Yeah, the pawn is overloaded. This is a standard overloading tactic. Now, bishop takes C6, rook C6, knight D5, speaking of overloading, is a double attack. So bishop takes C6, Maxime will have to strike on C3 first.
Move order is very important in chess. So bishop takes knight is about to happen. No other choice.
Bishop D7, I think, is a bailout move if Carlsen wants to draw, which I think he does want.
So how drawish is this? That's always the question when Magnus is playing. Bishop D7, rook D7, bishop takes B2, rook takes E7. Now white has an extra pawn from the E to the H file. Black has the passed A pawn. Oh my gosh. I just never say the word draw when Magnus is playing.
I know. Every time I say, okay, bail out, draw, the position is dead, before you know it, Magnus Carlsen pulls off what he managed to pull off in the last white game he played.
What is Maxime thinking about? He finally does take on D7, and he has to take on B2. So he gets here. Rook E8 is one possibility. Let's just trade off the rooks because the E2 pawn is loose behind it. I don't think there's anything to fear. At least not yet, if you're Maxime.
The game is Maximingly heading for a drop, but you just never know.
Oh, boy.
My first of the day.
Yeah, it's true. You're first, and hopefully you're last.
My feelings are hurt. What can I say? We still have to do the finals, so you need to be careful in how you choose your words. Magnus giving up E2.
Is there like a rook D8, bishop D6 type of thing?
Or maybe he wanted bishop to H6? I'm not totally sure. But whatever it was, MVL didn't like it. And I guess he's paving the way for A7, A5.
Right. So if you push E3, maybe A5, the knight can come back to C5 for white to stop the A pawn. But those pieces are pretty well placed for black.
Weirdly, the bishop is restraining the rook. Like rook D4 and rook C1 are both moves you'd want to play to dislodge the knight. You can't play either of them. And look at the clock. MVL's fast play has reaped its rewards. He's up 90 seconds. And he's got a chance here, and all it would take is one win to give him the confidence he needs, I think, to be super competitive in these last 9 minutes.
Yeah, but there's a problem here for black. A5 is met by rook C7, hitting that knight away from C4, so knight B6 first. And if rook C7, there's knight D5, so the rook comes back to D2.
Uh-oh.
You know why I actually kind of like White's chances here is the
Why is
safer
that?
king. But now the bishops are off, there's nothing major.
I feel like it's so easy when you're tilted. It's very easy to miss a fork. I know that's a weirdly specific statement,
Knight
but
d6.
you're just like rook c7, right? Knight e8 check. So
No.
easy to miss.
That would be tragic. But even knight b5, you have to go knight c8. That's such an ugly defensive move to have to play.
Exactly. Oh.
Okay, king f8 blunders knight f6.
Oh my god, but king g8 blunders knight f6 as well. He has to go to h8.
Wow.
And you called it king safety. Magnus is going to drive the pawn up to g5 and create mating possibilities on the 8th rank.
So knight d5 is possible there. He
h4. No.
He's just going to move his knight around a bit.
Now he goes h4.
G5.
Now
G5. If you take,
and he's going to go f4. And he might even sack e3.
Oh my god.
And rook h2. Oh my god, he could get mated there.
Yeah, no, that's actually a very real rook d2, rook d8, rook g8. Don't mind if I do.
Oh my lands.
Rook c2, there's knight d6.
He cements the knight with rook to a6. Interesting move.
Yeah. And if knight b6 back, the rook probably will have to retreat at some point. But knight b6, king g2. That way you can go rook a1, rook h1, and so on.
And king g2 still looks good. f4, though, by Magnus. He's not going to give up
gosh.
e3 pawn easily.
E5. No, this is really bad for black.
Knight oh my gosh.
There's
Robert,
e4,
rook
e5
c6
as well.
Now the knight has to go back to b6, and MBL is suddenly hanging by a thread, and you called
E4.
it. I think he's going to go e4.
He didn't, though. Knight d7, there's rook c7.
It's still good. Zugzwang. Almost Zugzwang.
Good move by MBL, though.
Oh, then king f8. Oh my gosh, just like tempo for tempo at this point.
I'm pushing that e-pawn if I'm Magnus.
Where's he going?
Here? Knight d6?
Where now? Knight b5?
If king e7, there's knight c8, but then king d8. Actually, you could take on a7 there.
Yeah, knight a7 is probably a draw, but he can torture that for another 10 minutes.
Yeah, but Magnus knows that that's maybe too easy of a draw for Maxime. That's why he didn't... Oh, knight c8, I guess there's a trade on c8, my bad. But I was just trying to think, if you take on a7 here, it might be too easy of a draw, but there's nothing better.
Again, he's playing the match, right? He's up 6 points. He gets a risk-free position that he can torture out for another minute or two. Ensure that the next game is the last game. It's hard to refuse this.
I also feel like Magnus is just so tricky. Like, he knows the little tricks here, how to prolong the game, how to make black just have to defend an extra move, e4.
Yeah, he's going to milk this out and then play e4 when there are no other opportunities left, such as right now.
Ooh. It's very smart to do that. I think we should add that is really smart because even though Magnus has a huge lead, things get crazy in Bullet, and it's easy to tilt. So you might as well just keep this lead and try to run down the clock.
And Magnus is actually playing for win. He's not just making random moves. I think he's going to play e4 at some point. It is, I don't like to say dead draw. It is a pretty easy draw if you don't tilt from Maxime's standpoint. And yeah, he's essentially ensured now that the next game is going to be the last. Time for e4. Nope, still doesn't play it.
There it is.
Stop it.
Stop it.
No!
No! Go away.
No, you go away.
Oh, gosh.
That was crazy. Is that going to be another Reddit viral clip on Reddit?
Oh, man.
That was crazy. Oh, my God. It continues.
Yeah, this endgame continues. It should be a draw. Just want to give a shout out to over 50,000 people watching across Twitch and YouTube. Hikaru in the chat. He is a finalist in the Speed Chess Championship. He is likely going to face off against Magnus Carlsen. Shout out to Hikaru, who had a great performance yesterday to beat Nihal Sarin, who gave him all he can handle. But right now, we are in the endgame here. If that king could get to G7, if only.
Rook H1. Come on, Maxime. Draw.
And it's a draw.